What's up, guys? So, today, what I want to talk about is some of the basics that uh, that this business requires. Just like we're just how the process goes down from broker to shipper to receiver. So, I wanted to make this guide because when I booked my very first load, even though I did my research, I still got stuck with a lot of things. So I wanted to make this guide to show you guys how the process goes down from the beginning up to the very end and how to get paid. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is going to be uh, brokers and booking the load. So over here on the left side, we have an example of a load. You can see the offer it's posted for, how many miles it's listed, for the distance, the pickup date, and just some more of the details, who the broker is, and as well as the pickup and delivery address and how far the address is away from you. So once you find a load that you are interested, let's just say if you're interested in this load, what you want to do next is you want to contact the broker by email or by phone. And that primarily depends on what the broker has listed on their posting. Sometimes they'll have a phone number, sometimes they'll have an email, and sometimes they will have both. So here's an example of me sending an email to a broker. What I usually do is I put in the subject line, I put the pickup address, which is Sauk Rapids, Montana, and I put the drop off address to Cascade, Idaho. And I keep it pretty simple. I don't get into any details until later on when I'm emailing these brokers. I'll just say something like, "Hey, good evening. I wanted to inquire about the above reference load. My MC, which is my motor carrier authority number, is the number that it is. Of course, I'm not going to be sharing that with everybody. Usually, the broker will get back to you with the details for pickup, delivery, the weight, the clearance needed, and any extra tools needed to have a lift gate. And the price that he's offering for the load. Usually, what you want to do after this is ask the broker the details of the commodity. Like, hey, what am I transporting? What is the weight? We already know the weight on this one. He sent that to us. But if the broker doesn't tell you the weight, ask for the weight so you can know how much weight you can stack extra in your truck and how many pallets. So the reason that you want to ask these things is, let's just say if this load is 5,000 pounds and 6 pallets total, a box truck can scale 10,000 pounds and 12 pallets total. So let's just say if you take this load and it fills up half your truck, half the weight, you can most likely go back to the load board and add a second load that's another 6 pallets, 5,000 pounds to double up the payout on that load, or even a partial 1 to 5 pallets, less than 5,000 pounds, to pair up with your 6 pallet, 5,000 pound load. So that's why you want to always ask these details. And then always negotiate a price for the load. You never want to take the original amount that's posted. So, for example, this broker has a pricing of 2,650 posted. Uh, I always ask for more. And what you want to do is determine like how much you are really going to need. Like, let's just say if you've based your business to where you need $2 per mile, we see that there's 445 deadhead miles and 1,067 miles for the actual trip if you're going to take this load. So that's a total of 1,500 miles. If you're basing your business off of $2 a mile, you may want to get at least $3,000 for this load. So, I, if it were me, I would offer this broker. I would tell him, hey, I want to take, or hey, I'm going to need $3,200 for this load. Would you guys be able to work with that? And usually I ask for a little more than the price I actually want because the brokers are always going to counter offer you. So that's going to get you as close as possible to a price that you like. And then once the price is agreed, always confirm to see if they offer quick pay or if your factoring company will accept that broker. So you can usually just email them and ask them, hey, do you offer quick pay for this load? Quick pay is just so you can get paid fast and not have to wait 30 to 90 days for your payment. There usually is a small percentage they take, ranging from 1 to 5%, depending on the broker. And then, or if you're working with a factoring company, usually on your factoring company's website or mobile app, they will have a section that you can use to type in the broker's MC number, which is listed on their posting, or even just type in their name. So we see this one here is Landstar Ranger Inc. I could type that name into my factoring company's credit check page, and it will let me know if they are approved for factoring or if they are not approved for factoring. Once we've confirmed that detail, usually what the broker will ask you is to complete a carrier packet. So this is usually sent by email, and it's a document, a digital document that you will have to fill out and send back to the broker in order to receive the rate confirmation for the load. So a carrier packet is also another thing that kind of confused me at first too. So I'm also going to be going into detail as to what that is. So what is a carrier packet? So a carrier packet is a collection of different documents that the broker sends to a potential carrier. These documents are meant to help set up the carrier as the approved carrier responsible for hauling freight from the broker to the respective shipper. So it's actually more simple than what it looks. I have an example here of a carrier packet that I received from a broker. Usually they'll want you to enter your date, the date that you are going into agreement with the broker, the name of your company, and then your motor carrier number. They also want you to initial most times, and then just enter your company information here and then sign. That is usually what they want on a carrier packet. It's about 3 to 11 pages most time, with most of the pages being pages like this where you just have to initial on the bottom. And then the broker will also require you to attach some documents to the carrier packet. One is going to be your operating authority, which you receive from the FMCSA once your authority goes active. It's pretty much a paper that uh, grants your authority. I recommend keeping a digital copy of all of these items that I'm going to mention so you can easily just email them to your broker and save you a lot of time. The second one is going to be your insurance accord. So you receive your insurance accord from your insurance agent once you have already set up your insurance for your box truck. It's another digital document that just shows your coverage as well as your policy numbers so the broker can verify that it's an actual policy. Your W-9, this is actually another pretty easy one. Uh, I always keep it handy in my favorites so I can just email that out. And then keep a copy of a void check so the broker can pay you as well. So once you send these four things, so once you complete the carrier packet, send that back, and then attach these four documents to the carrier packet, the broker is going to send you an email back with the rate confirmation. So a rate confirmation pretty much once you get to that step, you have been approved for the load and the load is yours. So the rate confirmation is pretty much like the details of the pickup and drop off for the load, as well as a few other things here. So it's pretty much once you agree on a price, the broker will send you a rate con or rate confirmation. You always have to sign the rate con and send the signed copy back to the broker. So as you can see, I signed down here. Of course, I have it blocked out. I don't want anybody to have my personal information. So the rate con is going to show a few different things about your load. So it'll have your load number, which is located in the top right, the pickup address from the shipper, which is usually located, it'll tell you where the pickup's at, the drop off address or the receiver's address, contact information, which I also have blocked out. Of course, I want to keep confidentiality from my customers that I work with. And it also keeps the has the agreed price somewhere on the rate confirmation too. Usually they'll have additional instructions here. So you always want to make sure you follow these instructions. Sometimes it'll be a specific door you have to check in at, or even appointments. Appointments are super important. You typically want to be early to appointments, maybe about 30 minutes to an hour early, because if you're late on an appointment, sometimes these shippers are going to be loading up so many trucks that if you miss your appointment, they're not going to have time to fit you in that day, and you might lose the load and put your authority at risk of getting a bad mark from a broker, or you might get delayed to a later date for pickup, and ultimately you're going to lose money if you're waiting a longer time to pick up a load. So once you get to the shipper, uh, you typically want to find a spot to park your truck on the outside while you locate the driver door. So at these shippers, they usually have a door somewhere in the middle of all of these trucks somewhere, and it'll say driver entry, or sometimes there'll be an office that'll say check in here. And once you get inside, you'll want to find somebody at a front desk, and you're going to show them your rate confirmation. You may have a copy of it on your phone or on your computer, or maybe even a paper copy if you printed it out. Once you show somebody in the office your rate con, they will assign you a dock door to be loaded. So they may give you, whatever their dock door number is. Once you get there, once you get a dock door, go ahead and park at that dock door and wait to be loaded. Keep in mind, it could take some time. I've had moments where I've waited almost 1 to 2 hours to get loaded. It can be very time consuming. What I like to do is constantly check in. I'll go back inside, say, hey, if it's been 30 minutes, hey, are they going to load me soon? Or, hey, I'm already at this dock door. I just want to check in with you guys. Because sometimes you might have to check in a second time. Sometimes these guys are dealing with so many trucks, they could forget about you. So that's just a little tip. And then when it comes time to get loaded, sometimes they will load your truck, or sometimes you have to self load. So you can usually check in with your broker way before this though, to make sure that if it's no touch freight, that means that they will load you up, or if they require driver assistance for the load. So regardless of whether they load you up or not, once you're loaded and you begin to uh, lock your truck up, before you lock your truck, always secure the freight with load bars and straps. So sometimes even if it's no touch freight where they load you up, sometimes these guys don't even put the load bars and straps. They kind of just load your truck and say goodbye. So always double check to make sure. And even if it's yourself, don't get lazy. If you have like an odd number, 7 pallets, and you've secured the first 6 with the load bar and load strap, make sure that last pallet is secured with the strap. I'm just telling you guys this from personal experience. I've had one pallet fall over sometimes, and it becomes a nightmare. So make sure every single pallet is properly loaded and strapped. And then always double check your BOL, or bill of lading, which is the paperwork you receive from the shipper once you have been loaded. And make sure that the addresses on your bill of lading match your rate con. If the addresses don't match, then they loaded you up with the wrong load. So always double check that, and make sure that it is correct, because you don't want to drive somewhere and it's the completely wrong load and you wasted all that diesel for nothing, and you have to drive back to return that freight that's not yours. And then lastly, never leave without a copy of the BOL. So always make sure you get a BOL, a paper copy, before you leave, because you are going to need that at the receiver to get unloaded and to get paid. So once at the receiver, pretty much the same thing. You want to check in at a main office, a driver door, or at a gate. Sometimes they have gates there. You're going to want to present your BOL, or bill of lading, to the office clerk to be assigned a dock door or unloading location. So once you've parked at the dock door, sometimes the receiver will unload your freight, or sometimes your assistance is going to be needed. Of course, as I mentioned before, you will want to have discussed this with your broker from the very beginning as well. So, um, of course, if you have to unload, just be as fast as possible and as careful as possible. Be professional, and be courteous of everybody's time. Another thing too, sometimes the receiver will unload the freight, but they'll require what's called a lumper. So a lumper is like a third party contractor who unloads the freight, but they're not actually uh, like people who work at the receiver. They're a third party contractor who will unload the freight. A lumper will usually charge a fee to unload your truck. So always check in too with your broker, to make sure that you get reimbursed for your lumper fees. A majority of the time, you will get reimbursed for your lumper fee, so always check so you're not losing money on your load. So once you're unloaded, the receiver will inspect the freight for any damages. So they usually will check for the packing slip, which is usually added onto a pallet. It'll be like wrapped up on the pallet, and they're going to inspect to make sure that all of the items are there, as well as that there's no damages to the freight. So after your freight passes safely, the receiver will sign your BOL. Very important to make sure that they sign before you leave. A signed BOL serves as a POD, or proof of delivery document. So yeah, once you get your BOL signed, it becomes a POD, which you will send over to your broker. So brokers will always ask, hey, can I have the POD after the set delivery date and time, which is just proof of delivery to confirm that you have delivered that load to the receiver. So after that, you're pretty much done. All you have to focus on now is getting paid, which is a bit of a process itself as well. So there's two ways you can get paid, either through a factoring company or either through the broker directly if they are not approved from your factoring company. So if you are able to factor, what you want to do is you want to use your factoring company's mobile app to see if that broker is approved with your factoring company. If they're approved, usually they'll send you a digital application that you could just type in and fill in, where you will enter the line haul, which is the agreed price of the load, the route, which will show the pickup city and drop off city, and lastly, they're going to want you to submit a digital copy of the rate confirmation and a picture of the POD, which you should have taken a picture of and sent to your broker already as well. And then once you submit these things, it usually takes about 1 to 2 days for your factoring company to approve the load and pay you out within 1 to 2 days. Pretty simple. I actually like working with factored loads better than non-factored, way better. Non-factored can be a little tricky sometimes, so a quick pay can take 1 to 8 days with a non-factored company. And then what you're going to want to do, let's just say if you have a factoring company, you are going to want to request what's called a letter of release from your factoring company to be emailed uh, to the broker's email address. So the reason you have to do this, if you have a factoring company, you are in a contract with that factoring company to work through them and get paid through them for your loads. A letter of release allows you to receive payment directly from that broker without having to go through your factoring company, because that broker is not approved through your factoring company. So after that letter of release has been sent to your broker, you are going to submit an invoice from your company for payment. So an invoice it could look a number of different ways. Uh, you can usually go on Google and look up templates or invoice templates and just fill in the details yourself, and then send a copy of that to the broker. You are also going to want to send a copy of a voided check to that broker so they have an account to pay you out to. And then, very important, make sure that you follow up daily on the payment status. So you always want to do this. Some of these brokers are not approved with their factoring company for a reason, because they do not pay on time, even though you agree to quick pay. I've dealt with some brokers that we agreed to quick pay, and they've taken almost 2 weeks to pay me to a month to pay me. So follow up daily on the payment status. You want to be on these guys. You want to be a bill collector with these guys. If not, sometimes if it's not a great brokerage, they're gonna forget about you and just pay you, or maybe even not even pay you if you don't follow up. So I think that's very important to follow up daily on the payment status. So pretty much that's it, guys. Hopefully you found this useful. I wanted to make this like a video about the basics of how it goes down. I do want to make more videos like this, just showing some more box check basics on other processes of the business. So please, if you guys did find this useful, like and subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment too. If you have any extra questions, if there's something I might have missed out on, comment your question down below and I'll answer it in the comment section. Or if you even want to DM me, I do have my Instagram tagged on my YouTube channel page. So if you want to DM me, feel free to DM me. I get back to everybody. So if you need help, just let me know. And best of luck, guys. Take care.